practice. And the last thing I was expecting was any semblance of perfection. But here they were, shattering all my doubts and fears and proving my fears and doubts false. I am now so nervous to talk after the little star ones like our children. Really, I am feeling so cautious and conscious now to talk after those little wonderful talkers. A very good evening to all my dear brothers and sisters. I stand here today drawing strength from the unequivocal support that you all extended in a very critical juncture. We are overwhelmed with gratitude to God for giving us such a beautiful family, ever-growing family. We are also overwhelmed with gratitude to every one of you for pushing us to do better, for pushing us to grow bigger, and for standing with us in hard times as well as good times. My heart goes out to thank each and every one of you. Pranams and thank you all. We are stepping into the 5th year since we launched Divyata in 2021, and with just 10 students taking online classes, Montessori online classes for kindergarten students. Imagine doing that on the very first year of our launching. From a very small apartment we did that, and from there we moved to this blessed space which housed and nurtured us for the past 5 years. And now we are standing here in this grand edifice of knowledge, this Sharadalaya. All of this is because of your support and unwavering faith in us. You have pushed us to grow bigger and you've pushed us to do better. I am very sure that this edifice is going to nurture generations of children to come and to make this world a wonderful place. 5 years it's been, and it seems like a blink of an eye. And it also seems like a lifetime. Winning the child's trust, winning a special place in their hearts, and watching their unparalleled joy of seeing the eyes of the kids widen when they learn about new things. It is so endearing to see the kids who started out as teeny tiny dots, trying their lungs out in stage 1, and now they have bloomed so beautifully, so knowledgeable and so talented. I'm so in awe, and I was moved to tears seeing all the performances here. It was so heartwarming and a very proud moment as a co-parent of the children. Dear brothers and sisters, your support, suggestions and guidance have been the driving force behind all of this, and this has been possible because of your unwavering trust and faith in us. We remain steadfast and resolute in our commitment to make our children's learning purposeful and meaningful and full of wonder. We want to make them not just ready for a future that's going to come by automatic progression. We want them to be ready to build a future that is that's so deserving for a better evolved human beings. That's why at Divyata we educate the whole human complex, the mind, body and spirit. From this year onwards we are adopting a 6-tier model which comprises of the Montessori education, of course, which integrates the whole child's needs, meets the intellectual, emotional and spiritual development. For physical vigor and agility and coordination, we are going to introduce PT this year, regular PT periods, along with karate and cinema. For mental calm and an astute mind, they are going to have chess and yoga as usual. For emotional and intrapersonal development, they have music and arts, and mindfulness whole brain program is going to be implemented for all the grade children on a weekly basis from now onwards. For interpersonal skills, leadership and team building, we have sporty beans for all the children, communication programs which will bring out their public speaking abilities and their ability to communicate their thoughts well in front of a crowd. So, and also inter-house activities which will enhance their teamwork and the spirit of sports. And then we have for field trips, projects, hands-on experiments for real-world experience and application of knowledge. So here, when they are with us, they are sorted and primed for life. How about the time they are with you at home? The first 8 years of life is the most crucial period in every individual's life. The emotional environment that they grow up becomes the mold that casts their personality, becomes the mold that demands how they react to a certain situation later in life. So, what are we today? What we are today and what triggers us and what are our limitations are all because of what happened to us during our childhood years. So whatever the adult problems are, the psychological problems and limitations, when you go to a psychologist and counsel, it will all come down to the childhood traumas that we all had faced during our childhood. So parenting, so knowing this knowledge, that the first 8 years of knowledge of environment, the first 8 years of the child's life is going to define what kind of person they are going to be. Now we know that knowledge, therefore parenting is more crucial now than ever before. Let's look at our parenting style as how it is now versus how it should ideally be. So the current default parenting style is behavior oriented. So think about the whack-a-mole game. How many of you know the whack-a-mole game? You can find it in a children's play area arena in the malls and things. So there will be a slot where there are about 10 to 15 slots, and a mole will pop up here and there at random. So you'll have to take a hammer and hit the mole inside the slot. So that is the game. So that's the kind of parenting that we are doing right now, which is default and natural for us. When a faulty behavior or a bad behavior shows up, we smash the child. Another bad behavior shows up, we smash the child with shouting, yelling, criticism, and we end up unintentionally, with all the good intentions in our heart, we end up scarring the child for life. This has to change. There has to be a total shift in paradigm in parenting. Parenting is not actually about raising a child. Parenting is about raising who we are as better human beings. And that is what I am calling, inviting you all into. Our children have not come into our lives to be shaped by us. They have come into our lives to shape us. The child is the father of the man. நம்மளோட கல்ச்சர்ல கூட தகப்பன் சுவாமின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அதனோட பின்னாடி என்ன இருக்கு? The child is perfect as it is. You are not there to teach anything to the child. The child is there to hold a mirror to what is inside you. So whatever you see, you reflect on your child. The child reflects it on a mirror. You can see what is going wrong inside your heart. So that we have to correct it. Every difficult moment our child gives us is not a problem to solve. It is a mirror being held up, reflecting what's inside us. Let me explain this a bit. Imagine this situation. You are turning around a corner, carrying a cup of coffee in your hands. And your child is coming around that corner. You both don't see each other and you bump. Now what will happen? The coffee is going to spill. Now why did the coffee spill? Was it because the child ran, or was it because you didn't watch? The coffee spilled because coffee was inside the cup. What is inside the cup will only spill. Inside our cup, whatever is filled inside our cup, that is going to spill over whenever we get a trigger from our child. So it is our it depends on us to change what is inside our cup, to empty our cup that is full of judgment and fear and insecurities, empty our cup and fill it up with compassion and connection to the child. We are standing on the shoulders, so what was filled up inside our cup, it was filled up during our childhood. Our parents filled it up, unintentionally. This is not to blame our parents. Our parents did the best they could with the knowledge that they had at the time. But all these stresses were poured into our cup. And this cup, we pour it on to the children. And their cup was filled by their parents. So we are standing on the shoulders of 10,000 to 12,000 generations of human beings, where we springboarded on their talents and moved ahead. But on the flip side, we also have inherited multi-generational trauma inside us. So our inner child has to be healed first. How do we heal it? We look at how we react to our children's behavior. So behavior-based parenting will not do. But what is the right kind of parenting? It is the calm leadership parenting. You have to be a calm leader. Now what do we expect from a leader? What do we expect from a leader? We need a leader to be emotionally stable. We need a leader to be not led into others' chaos, but to stand hold with their own strength of calmness, with their strength of mental calmness. We want such a leader who can bring out the best in us. And we also want a leader whom we can lean on in times of distress. So we need to be such a kind of a leader. So there is a parenting coach, a very popular person called Lisa Balish. So she gives us a scenario of how a calm leadership parenting will look like. So there was a birthday party in her house. So everybody else, the adults, all the other adults had gone out to buy the cake or something. So she was left in charge of 6 8-year-old boys who were in the pool, in the swimming pool. So she was left in charge of those 8 boys. So she had laid a strong boundary saying there was a toy, an inflated, big inflated whale toy. So she had given a clear boundary that nobody takes the whaling inside the water because the toy is quite big and if anybody, யாராவது அது பின்னாடி இருந்தாங்கன்னா பார்க்க முடியாது. She will be blinded by the whaling and there is a risk of a child, any child drowning. So she laid out a very strong boundary. Nobody takes the whaling inside. But sure enough, one of the kids took the whaling and jumped inside the pool. And she stayed calm, no fretting, no shouting. She said, whaling out now. The kid said, no, I want to have the whaling here. So without any fretting, she went inside the pool, dragged the whaling and the kid and she made him sit beside her for 10 minutes. So it was a 10-minute time out. That was the consequence for the child for not sticking to the boundary. So during that 10 minutes time, she did not bring up the topic of why did you put the whaling inside the pool. I told you you shouldn't, it is dangerous. She did not talk about it at all. She knew the child knows because the child already feels embarrassed being dragged out of the pool. Our friends முன்னாடி pool இருந்து வெளியில இருந்து போயிட்டாங்க. He already feels bad about it. So she sits with the child for the 10 minutes and she connects with him. She tries to bring out the best in the child. She says, see, I watched you playing soccer the other day and you scored a wonderful goal. That was so nice. You are so good at football. Then the child started to talk about his football experience. And then slowly she said, I see that you have a lot of friends. You have a lot of friends. I think they all like you so much. You must be fun to hang around with. You must be cool to hang around with. So she brought out yet another positive aspect of the child. But all of this was happening while she was disciplining the child. No negative remarks of what went wrong. She was focusing on the good child. And then she said, I saw you helping your father the other day. Your father must be very proud of you. So the child was all very excited to talk about himself, what all good things are inside him. And he started to feel so good about himself. Now the 10 minutes time out was over. And then she said, your time out is over, you can go and have fun. She did not remind him, don't take the whaling again. He has learned that lesson. Now the good child is in focus. So the child went inside the pool, and he took charge that nobody else brings the Veni inside the water. He was helping her the whole day through in the party. So that is how a calm leadership, that is what a calm leadership looks like. A calm leadership parent looks like that. So being a calm leader, you have to have the following things. You have to take responsibility for everything. So imagine in your kitchen, like there is a glass bowl. So the child has seen you taking the bowl just like this with 2 fingers and walking effortlessly across the room. So the glass is so shiny and smooth and you can look through it. So the child also wants to try out, play with the glass bowl. So how you took the bowl, the same way the child takes the glass bowl like this. The child doesn't know any physics. It doesn't know about gravity or force or mass. So the same effortless way that you handle the bowl, the child handles the bowl. And then what happened? 2 things crashed. The glass bowl crashed and our emotional stability also crashed there. How dare you take the glass from the kitchen? How many times I've told you should not touch anything without asking me? And out comes all of us stress. So the responsibility. So whose responsibility was that? The responsibility was on the parent. So the parent can either keep the environment safe where there is no glass bottle, or the parent can empower the child as to how to carry the glass bowl by modeling it themselves. That is what we do in the Montessori environment. We keep all the ceramic ware, all the glassware accessible to the children, but we role model how it has to be taken. So you can deal with this responsibility in 2 ways. You can child-proof the room, or you can empower them with how to handle that. So this is taking responsibility and being emotionally regulated ourselves. So when a child comes back in a turbulent mood after something very disturbing in the school, we should not be absorbed into their chaos. We have to stay calm and let it pass. Your calm strength should be overpowering than their turbulent mood. So that is where you lead as calm parents. And the third thing is giving structure with clear boundaries, giving consequences if the boundaries are not followed, and following through it every time, consistently. So lay the boundaries very strongly. Every child needs structure to thrive. If there is no structure, the child has no idea what it can do, what it should not do. So when there is no boundary or structure, the child will test you out. Whether I can do this, let me see how my parents will react. If my parents react badly, I should not do it. If they are okay, I can do it. They are okay with it today, tomorrow also they should be okay with it. Okay, so they learn like that when there is no structure, which is totally chaotic, and then we blame our children. So we must give definite boundaries of what they can do, when they can do, what you expect of them. And if the boundaries are not kept, you give them mild consequences. If you don't come to play now, your TV time will be cut short. If you don't come to bed now, your story time will be cut short. And give such mild consequences and then follow it through very meticulously, consistently. That is what a strong parenting, a rigid, firm parenting looks like. And then we have accountability. So we always over-promise and under-deliver. We make promises that we cannot keep and then we let the child down. So it is better always to under-promise and over-deliver. So that is one strategy that we can all keep to. And empathy. Empathy is one very important thing that a calm leadership parent should have. Empathy is nothing but listening quietly when your child shares a difficult moment. You have to resist the temptation to jump in with the solution or to divert their attention or to trivialize their pain or to dismiss it. It's just like it's not a problem at all. You just have to give them a good listening ear, sit with them in their pain, however trivial it might seem to you, it is big. Children have big emotions. So you sit with them in their pain and show them that you got them, that you are there, whatever happens, you are there, and that your love for them is unconditional. So when a child feels genuinely hurt, two things happen. The problem shrinks not because it is solved, but because it was witnessed by you. And the relationship also deepens because they know that you are a safe place. So here is an invitation to be the change that you want to see in your child. If you want to see your child to be calm, then you become more calm. If you want your child to be more honest, let your child see you being honest in every way. If you want your child to be more responsible, you show them more responsibility. So that is how we show up to our child. This is what self-evolution in parenting means. Not perfection, not guilt, just the daily, honest, courageous work of becoming a leader worth following. I want to leave you with this image. 20 years from now, your child will be sitting somewhere, maybe in a difficult meeting, or maybe in a difficult relationship, or maybe dealing with their own child. So, at that difficult moment, they will reach within themselves for strength. And there, they will find in that moment the version of you that they watched when you didn't know they were watching. Your emotional steadiness, your quiet integrity when no one would have noticed, your willingness to listen even when you were tired, your courage to get back up and keep going. That is the legacy that we want to leave for our children. Who you were every ordinary day in their presence. It takes only one generation of people to change the world. One generation to stop passing the baton of multi-generational trauma from our ancestors to our grandparents to our parents and then to us. The baton is now with us. It is up to us to stop sending this baton again to our children. It is up to us to stop filling their cups with stress and trauma. It is up to us to empty our cups, which was full of trauma and stress, fill it with unconditional love, compassion and understanding, and raise them as calm leadership parents. Calm leaders who are parents. So you are the leaders today, rather than envisioning the child who are going to be leaders tomorrow. It is up to us to take up the responsibility and be the leaders today who can change the world. So you all can change the world today. I invite you to do the same. Thank you.